Hey, welcome everybody. It's Mr. Reality joined by psychic medium Liz Cross. And as we're doing this video, it's September 11th at 9:15 Central AM. Want to say, hey Liz, I thought maybe I should talk to you and find out what happened yesterday in the whole Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yeah, yeah, big request for this. We also got questions from our Patreon subscribers, so we're going to go through those questions as well.
Yes, I'll be going through those questions and let me pull those up now. Oh, wow. So that was quite a big news event. And here we are. It seems like this kind of thing, this violence is happening all over the place. Um, I don't want to bring in Charlie Kirk just yet, but I'd like to try and find out maybe from how do you want to go about this, Liz? Let's take your direction.
Well, we can let's focus on the shooter first. That plane, the plane that everybody's talking about that was scrambled.
Yeah, there was a couple of reports of a plane that scrambled that left Provo and then came back, circled back. And then I saw on Twitter this morning a guy named Tom Decker who worked at Wendover Airport had his account scrubbed after reporting about this N888KG plane. So I guess can we find out what happened to Tom Decker and why he got scrubbed from Twitter?
Yeah, let's ask why. So I'm going to grab X, Twitter. Why did you scrub Tom Decker's account? What? We believe what? You scrubbed his account. Why? We took it down. They took it down, deleted. Okay. Well, it's kind of like a backdoor delete, meaning the information is still there. It just you can't see it at the front door. We're at the front door, Twitter's at the back door, right? So the information is still there. Is it being investigated? Oh, yeah. Is that why you had to tear it down? Yes, they had to tear it down because this was really important information. They don't want internet sleuths interfering with the investigation, the FBI investigation. And that is why they tore the information down. The last thing
It's
they need are sleuths, according to the FBI. The last thing they need are sleuths sort of messing up, turning up at places where there's potential evidence. But I have to disagree with the FBI here. Hold on, let me grab the FBI. So you don't want internet sleuths like getting into all of this information, digging around. Absolutely not. Okay, now the reason they're giving to me is that they don't want to alert the shooter that they're onto him. Basically, they want to take the shooter by surprise. If you have internet sleuths interfering in the investigation, what they're saying is you could alert the suspect and the suspect could flee, which is now that makes sense. That's why they took the account down.
well, was Tom right in what he saw?
Is Tom right in what he saw? His accounts of that plane, yes, that is correct.
And is this the
Did
plane that the shooter was on?
Is this the plane that the shooter was on? That is a negative. No.
Okay. But it's an avenue that they're shutting down anyway. That's kind of suspect. Is were there people compartmentalized or in tangential relation to the shooter that were on this plane? That's why they're shutting it down?
Are they shutting it down because potential people that are involved with this suspect? I mean, they have to check out all avenues. They have to check out everybody. And also, I will tell you, this is something that this plane does on a regular basis. They just have no regard for the laws and other people out there in the skies. Very reckless behavior. Um, I do believe they will be fined. They could also have their operating license stripped, their pilot license stripped from them. These are very serious offenses.
Okay, I'm going to turn to your Patreon questions about the shooter. Was the shooter hired by an agency, a country, or an organization?
Was the shooter hired by an agency? No. Was the shooter hired by an organization? No. Was the shooter hired by an individual? I'm getting it's more an individual. More like it's honestly, it sounds very similar to our guys that were contracted to take Trump out. It's not them specifically. I know that was a big question. It's not them. However, it's almost like another little group here that they pick on someone vulnerable, they find the perfect candidate, and they want to convince them this is what needs to be done, and we will pay you for the job.
Okay. Was this more than one shooter involved? People are speculating. I only heard two shots when I listened to the video myself.
Was there more than one shooter? No, this is a lone shooter.
Was there anybody else paid to look the other way or anybody else involved in maybe the getaway of it or the facilitating of it that was there
Was
on site?
Was there anyone else paid to look the other way? No. They know security is lax at this police department. They know they had been to enough of his events to know that it's open season. Security is almost non-existent. They know that. Even more so at this particular university, it was for them, the perfect setup, the perfect, scenario. This must be some sort of small town university, and I haven't read too much into it. And before you all start slaughtering me in the comments, that's the best thing. Hello, remote viewers, you're supposed to know as least as possible. So, this is a very small town, university. They're not used to crimes like this. They're not used to being on high alert. They're not even used to people of this magnitude coming to the university. So security was almost non-existent.
They're
And
saying they
again,
found.
sorry, and again, you've got that problem. The same thing that we saw with the Trump shooting is that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. University cops are not communicating with the local law enforcement. Were they operating on the same? They weren't even operating on the same radio channels, right? But in this case, were checks being done? No. I mean, they just were, it was too relaxed.
What's come out an hour ago, the college age suspect is now being hunted. They found a weapon. So is this suspect of college age? I can't hear you anymore.
So, sorry, college range could, is typically 18 to 22, could be slightly older.
And people are asking if they did receive a payment.
Did you receive? So, I'm going to connect directly with the shooter. Bring me the shooter of Charlie Kirk. Okay, I've got him. Did you receive a payment? It's coming. See? There you go. They were promised a payment. Were you given a deposit? Yes. These deposits were crypto. Okay. And you're expecting more money? Yes. Are you in hiding? Oh, yeah.
Does the FBI know that they're looking for more than one shooter?
Just yeah. Are you looking for more than one shooter? It's very possible, they say. They're looking for up to three at the moment. They have three potential shooters. Do you have the
And then,
name of the suspect? Oh, yeah, they got a name.
Okay, good. There was a guy who caused quite a commotion on the ground, initially taken into custody, and he said, "Shoot me, shoot me." Was he there to cause a distraction? Was he mentally ill, or was he part of the conspiracy?
Was that guy? Is it the older guy?
Yeah.
Were you there to cause a distraction? He's always causing distractions. Were you there? Were you paid to cause a distraction? No. Did you know that this was going to happen? No. He just got caught up in the hysteria of the moment.
Hmm.
He's very well known to police.
Okay. Like a crazy uncle or something. Moving back to the questions from your Patreon. Will this assassination bring unity or deeper division within America?
Will this assassination bring unity? No, it's not going to bring unity. But what it is going to do is expose some sort of corruption, is what I'm getting. More will come out of this due to the investigation. They're going to try and turn over some very liberal groups. What are they going to do with them? Why are they focusing on them? They may even start changing some laws and possibly labeling some groups as terrorists.
Was this a this is a picture of the alleged shooter up
Mm,
there. So this person, were they foreign or domestic, or where are they typically based? And
Is this person foreign? No, they're American.
all right, is this event going to, you said it's going to change things domestically, but will this event maybe try to be placed on foreign actors? And I think somebody worried that this could be like the catalyst for a war against one of the other countries that we could potentially be at war with. Is there any,
Is Oh, I see what you mean. So like basically,
like
even
an
if it's
Archduke
not,
Ferdinand situation, right?
yeah, yeah, like the Franz Ferdinand, exactly. Are they going to use this to maybe strike a war? Are they going to use this to maybe create a war with another country? That's a no.
Okay. But they're going to have stricter methods of labeling domestic terrorism in the United States, you said.
Are they going to have stricter guidelines and stricter laws about certain groups? I think they will. Yes. I
Because
think that's to come.
I'm remembering back to 9/11 today, and right after
Mm.
that, we had a similar, rush to the Patriot Act and the TIPS program, where if you see someone, report them, and they were using the post office to spy on people. Are they going to try and implement something like this again because of this?
Are they going to try to implement something like that again because of this? No. But what they are going to do is start turning over these organized protest groups, these grassroots movements, assembly of people, protest organizations. They're going to start labeling, collecting data on who is protesting, and they're going to brand certain groups of people as domestic terrorists. That they're going to fall within these new guidelines of what you can say and what you can't say. So, okay,
Hmm.
right. I know what you're thinking, Mr. Reality, which
Go
is,
ahead.
this is pretty much an assault on free speech, yet how they're going to combat it is by taking away some free speech. It's just such a gray area.
Right. That's what I was thinking exactly. So he tells people that I guess will it protect us, or will it just be more of the increasing and pouring fire on the divisiveness that's already here in the country?
Is it going to pour more fire on the division? It's going to increase like firm party lines, right? Because Charlie Kirk is going to be the defining, you're either with the Republican Party or you're with the Democrat Party, right? It's going to push people farther away.
Hmm. Okay.
Now,
And how?
I have a question
Mhm.
because a lot of times, people are really clued up on psychological warfare. And we have an election coming up. Did you, did whoever that did this group, was that your intention to take out someone who maybe, keeps firm voters on the Republican side, or was this intention to create such discord that you're driving maybe middle of the road people to the hard left to increase votes, or are you driving people hard right to increase votes? Was there any psychological intention here by taking out Charlie Kirk in order to push people in a certain direction politically? That is a no. That is a no. I'm surprised by that answer. That is
What
a
I was
no.
thinking is that when you have groups like this, they're agnostic to party. Contract killers would be they'll take money from the left, they'll take money from the right, they'll take money from foreign terrorists, they'll take money from domestic terrorists. They don't care. So is that what we're looking
Right.
at here? Just an agnostic group that wants to sow division, or were they, there's got to be a reason for their wanting to take him out.
What is the reason for you wanting to take Charlie Kirk out? Exactly as you just said, they were contracted to do so. Now, the person or people behind the contract, what are their views, or what is it that they're trying to accomplish? Are they foreign? No, they're domestic. This is someone who is extremely wealthy, billionaire, who sees Charlie Kirk, or who saw Charlie Kirk as a threat and wanted to rid of him.
And this is probably not going to come out. This is something that, again, will be an unthreaded or untied thread.
What's this? Is this going to be in? Will they ever find the people behind this? No, no, they won't find them. Just like they didn't find the people ultimately behind the Trump shooter, right? Because we got very strongly that this is who they target. They look for their target, months in advance of an event. Who's going to be our prime crazy person that's crazy enough to pull off this act, right? So it takes all the onus off of somebody else being behind a shooter. Well, they're psycho enough to do it, and they put the burden on the shooter. That's what these shooters don't understand is they are psychologically profiled and targeted and picked by groups. They know how to keep the suspicion away from anything past some deranged shooter. They know exactly what they're doing.
And that's also kind of a shell in the nut game where they have multiple actors and can, the one person that did it, they don't really care if they're caught or not, right?
Well, they do care if they are caught. Most of the time they have zero training. So the best case scenario for the group behind these killers is that they get killed by the police because now, guess what? We don't even have to pay these people. We don't have to pay them an incentive. We keep all the, we paid them an incentive, but then, following through with the rest of the contract, we don't have to pay them. And ultimately, if they're caught and thrown in jail, you don't have to pay them. They make all these promises of a quick getaway, we're going to help you. That usually falls by the wayside. There's no help available. They just got their person to do the job. And that is what it feels like. Certainly, as I'm looking into this, there's definitely some underground group here in the background of this shooter. You'll be
Well,
doing, this is how they get these psychologically vulnerable people. You'll be doing everyone a favor. They sell it to them.
and so let's really turn our attention to the primary shooter that pulled the trigger then, and maybe try to find out how can we figure out how they escaped, or do we not want to give any more information about that if the FBI wants to keep that wrapped?
They blend it in. They know who it is. They're just building their picture.
Let's take a look at what this person planned to do and how they plan to get away and where they envision themselves retiring to. And like what happens in the fantasy mind, I'm wondering.
What did you think was going to happen after you shot Charlie Kirk? Well, in their mind, they would never have to work. They're definitely into video games. They're some sort of gamer. And they envisioned a life of being wealthy and just playing video games.
Were the video games like shoot 'em up games and they thought, hey, I can do it in real life?
Are their video games violent? Oh yeah, they're combat games. Yes.
Where do you want to go from here?
Well, let's channel Charlie.
All right, we can bring in some questions for Charlie Kirk and how is he faring now?
How are you faring? He's okay. Um, Sometimes it takes a bit of adjustment to when you get into the spirit world, but his personality was so fierce and so intense. I mean, he's very pragmatic. I feel he was malleable and pragmatic here on the earth plane. He could handle stress very well, is what I'm getting. And on the other side, he is coming through loud and clear.
I know you always say we sign up for these life plans, nothing ever happens by chance. Is this how he planned to go out?
Is this how you plan to go out? Exactly how he planned to go out.
Why?
Maximum impact.
What kind of an impact?
What kind of an impact? To shock, outrage, startle, just to grip people, to expose. It's maximum impact.
Just did he, I guess, how many other lifetimes did he have where he was maybe a catalyst for this type of a change?
How many other lifetimes? Agree when you are a catalyst for this type of change. Zero. This is his first attempt.
How many lifetimes has he had as a human being?
How many lifetimes have you had as a human being? Now he's up there. He's around 400.
Did he have any premonitions? These are Patreon questions, by the way. Did he have any premonitions that this was going to happen to him? Did he ever have any fears about it?
Did you ever have any fears? Oh, all the time. Did you have any premonitions? No, he'd become too relaxed and too complacent.
Did he know that he would die young when he was in life incarnated?
Did you know that you would die young when you were here? No, he did not know that. Now, there was a lot of talk going around on, I believe, Twitter that said he was afraid that Israel would take him out. So I'm asking him now, do you believe that this is an Israeli attack? I'm getting a no.
Does he have past life contracts with the shooter?
Do you have past life contracts with the shooter? No.
That's surprising. Usually it tracks
Mm.
back. What was his biggest life lesson?
What was your biggest life lesson in this lifetime as Charlie Kirk? It was that he believed that he was moving through the lifetime with a strong sense of purpose. And in his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, he is saying that he believes that he changed a lot of people's lives and he felt that great sense of purpose. A lot of people go through the lifetimes and they say, "What is my sense of purpose? I have no sense of fulfillment, no sense of purpose." He's never felt like that in that lifetime. He always felt as if his life had purpose.
Did he ever
Were
consider
you, sorry, let me ask this question. Were you starting to wind down your career as, this youth movement? No, he wasn't. I was wondering if he had plans to go on and do other things. He did have plans to do other things, but in conjunction with the youth movement. Now, 31, I know, is kind of older than college age. So, do you believe that you were starting to get too old for the circuit? And he says yes, he was starting to feel that. You know, it becomes a level, he's saying, of unfairness as you're getting older. You have more life experience, you start, having things more put together. The puzzle is starting to fit better than college kids who are just starting out. So I'm saying, do you think that it was fair when you were debating with these college kids? And he does. He says yes. With his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, obviously. But he does also feel that he was getting to a point where it was, you know, going into the unfair, you territory. Um, because he had more life experience. So were you
right?
thinking of maybe appointing someone? I mean, he was looking for ambassadors to this youth movement, he says, to take over. But he enjoyed what he did. He's saying that very strongly. Now, I have a question, Mr. Reality. Since you have been shot, now how do you feel about the Second Amendment? See, there you go. How do you feel? Let's tell the audience. How do you feel about the Second Amendment? It's bogus. Do you agree with the Second Amendment? No. There he's saying his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Now he's on the other side. There needs to be serious gun reform in the USA. Do you agree that, like, what does gun reform look like to you now that you were over there looking down here. What does that look like? Can you paint a picture for us? Now, he is saying total ban. Can you believe that? Because, I mean, full disclosure, I didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was until yesterday, right? And then, of course, I was reading through some of the Patreon questions. I'm like, oh, okay, this is who he is. And then I watched a little bit of the news, which I rarely do. Okay, he was pro Second Amendment. He was pro this, pro that. But now he's on the other side. Let's ask him this question. You were pro Christianity. Now that you're on the other side and there's no religion up there, how do you feel about following that hardline Christianity, that Christian approach to life? And he's saying it was just a narrative. But as we know, up there, it's devoid of religion. There's no religion in the afterlife. So, do you believe that you were mistaken in following that Christian narrative at all? I mean, he's saying yes and no. And I'm saying, why do you say that? And he says, well, because it was too intense. Do you believe that you should have lightened up a bit? I mean, in his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, he says yes. But excuse me, but my main concern is that Second Amendment. I mean, he was all for, people having guns, the right to bear arms, but this is what's killed him. And now he believes he's changed his tune. He's saying a total ban on guns, which I've lived in countries where there's been a total ban on guns, and the criminals always find guns. So
Well, they
who
should
knows
ban
what they're gonna?
knives too, apparently, because a lot of knife
Yeah,
attacks. So,
right.
you, you can't stop at one thing.
I mean, we clearly have a problem. Let's ask him. Do you believe that we clearly have a problem with guns in this country? Now you're on the other side. Oh, he believed we had a problem with guns when he was here. Even more so now he's on the other side. And there was also a school shooting yesterday. What do you think the answer is to school shootings? Now, in his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, he's saying maximum security. So, what does maximum security look like? It looks like armed guards, metal detectors,
Wait,
constant patrols.
in all, how can you trust, how can you profile the people that have the weapons? How does he think you can do that?
Let's ask him, how can we profile? So, if every school is to have guards, armed guards, metal detectors, patrols, active patrols throughout the day. How can we trust those people? And they have to go through a very, very psychological, he says, and rigorous security check. Psychological profiling, constant training. It's it's a scary prospect. I mean, he has two kids, right? Let's ask him this question. Do you believe that your wife and children are going to be targeted next? No. He says they just wanted him. How do you think that this is going to impact your children? If this is going to be disastrous for his children, because he says as they get older, they're really going to question this, line he was towing. This, and they're actually going to be more independent, more middle of the road thinking, and they're going to struggle and they're going to go through a broad range of emotions, particularly when they're teenagers, about, was my dad right to have this stance? So emotional turmoil for them for the rest of their lives. And they're actually going to come to a point in their lifetimes, which I think is probably quite natural of the grieving process. Correct me. He says, yes, it is. I was like, correct me if I'm wrong. He's saying yes. But where they become very angry about, his stance. And they're going to have to work through that. She will get remarried, by the way. But I know it's too soon to start giving out stuff like that. But this is where his poor children will be. They won't even remember him. All they'll be able to have is his legacy that he's leaving behind with videos. And I believe he had a podcast and photographs and, stories that other people will tell them about their dad. But for them, they're psychologically going to go through the ringer
Have they always been in the soul loop with him?
every single lifetime, and his wife as well.
Are there any soul contracts, I guess, that his wife has to pay up from this?
Well, she's terrified that something's going to happen to her right now, and that's with good reason, right? Anybody would feel that way. Um, this is PTSD, I mean, maximum trauma. This is about as traumatizing as you can get, right?
Hmm.
For her and that family. So it's going to take a long time. And again, going through those emotions of anger. Like, why did you feel that you were the one to bring this message? Like, couldn't it have been anyone else? Why did you have to be so influential? And argument, debating, even as I'm tapping in, I'm saying, do you feel that you were quite argumentative in this lifetime? Very, very much so. And I'm going to ask him another question. Do you believe that maybe you would have had a greater impact if you had chosen the path of getting a law degree, becoming a lawyer, than going into politics? No, he says no, Liz, no, this was the most impactful path.
Somebody asked, is this karmic reciprocity from a past life?
Oh, so is this like karmic reciprocity? Is this karmic debt? No, he chose this. This is not as a result of karmic debt. Now, if it was as a result of karmic debt, he would have had past lives with that shooter where it's like, you kill me, I kill you, you kill me, I kill. That's not the case here.
Okay, so what does this do for his soul to have this maximum impact event?
What does this do for your soul to have this maximum impact event? His soul actually thoroughly enjoyed it and he wants to do it again. He believes that his soul is strong enough to withstand. See, you've got to be like Teflon when you're in these types of positions because you've got to deal with, any politician. And even though he wasn't a, a professional politician, I mean, I guess if you want to call him that, yes, but not really. I mean, he wasn't in an official capacity as a
Mhm.
politician, but you've got to be able to withstand on a soul level the hate. It doesn't matter which side you're on, whether you're Biden in the White House, whether you're Trump in the White House, whether you're Martin Luther King, right? you have to be able to withstand all of the attacks and the hate. So he believes his soul is strong enough to go forward and be another representative for the people. This is what he's saying. These are not my words, these are his words. Representative of, the people. I'm like, well, you didn't represent the entire population, and he knows that. And I'm saying, well, would you like to come back and maybe just be for the people instead of towing a particular, line, as in, you're either hard left or you're hard right? What about maybe taking into consideration the possibility of coming back and just being for the people? And he says, I will consider that.
Where does he put himself now among those other people that you mentioned who have been shot and suffered from their voice?
I mean, like JFK is here, standing here. You got, Martin Luther King, you got Malcolm X. I mean, there's a whole slew of people that have been taken out because somebody disagreed with whatever it was they were saying. I mean, we had this discussion earlier on the Discord. And what do you have to say about that, Charlie? I mean, he thinks it's terrible that people are, even though everybody up here in the panel now that was their life plan, and again, it was maximum impact. But I'm saying overall, the fact that we down here in the 3D world are saying, well, if you have an opinion that someone doesn't agree with, it's not, he's saying, and I'm saying, do you believe that it's okay to, harm that person? And he says no. And all of them are saying no. All of them agree that it is not okay to harm someone for being powerful, having a voice, and having an opinion, being an activist.
Why does he think that has become so divisive? It seems like there's no middle ground anymore. And is that what he was trying to do in his lifetime?
Were you trying to at all ever create a middle ground? No, he wasn't ever trying to create a middle ground. Now, some of the others here on the panel, yes, they were just trying to, particularly Martin Luther King, who's standing here. I mean, he was just trying to have freedom, freedom of movement, freedom, the same rights as everybody else. So their purpose was different in that regard, like the outcomes. Um, but do you find that, will there be more of this? Will this ever end? No, this is never going to end. This political violence is never going to end. In fact, what he's saying is that it will be an increase. Will we ever sort out the gun problem here in the US? No.
Will we ever sort out the free speech problem? Or I guess it's not a problem, but the balance.
Will we ever sort out the problem that those that exercise free speech are being murdered? No, it's going to get worse. Because I know a lot of people were asking, is this the turning point? Is this where we come together and we say, this isn't right. We're not going to condone, killing political activists and things like that. So he talks about maximum impact, but that is not part of the maximum impact. It highlights that once again, somebody is being killed, um, in a politically violent way, but is it going to stop? No. Even he says, and he's bringing up the United Healthcare shooting. That was political violence. Are we going to start seeing more like CEOs of companies being murdered? Yes, we are. So, but in this case, as long as you have loads of money to hire a team of people to psychologically profile the perfect shooter mastermind, right? It just, is this group going to strike again? Oh yeah, they're a professional group. Is this the same group as Trump? No, this is not the same group. No.
How many other groups are there like this?
How many other dozens? You can, as long as you have money, you can buy whatever it is you want out there, right? And that's where I'm saying to him, well, that's where it brings about this sentiment where people despise other people with lots of money because they have this type of power that they can just buy off and have someone killed that they don't like. And that creates a big problem. That's why it becomes this anti-capitalism, this anti money movement. And he says, yeah, that's right.
So, if he could share something with his supporters now, what would that be?
What would you like to share with your supporters now? He says, I'm sorry, but I want you all to carry on. This is just a small blip in your lives. You will be strong and you will carry on.
What does he think the nation should learn from his death?
What do you think the nation should learn from your death? So it's early days, right? He was only killed yesterday, and it's early days. There's going to be a lot of corruption coming out because of this. There is. Will it be publicized? Eventually it will be publicized, but there's going to be a lot of corruption, a lot of underground groups, a lot of, money changing hands, um, people in political power. Corruption is coming out. And is it going to be on both sides? And he says, yes, it possibly will be on both sides.
There was a lot of talk about his astrology chart and how he was poised to have such an impactful death.
Mm. Well, it was correct.
And it's almost like a nexus point for America, too. And so he agrees with that sentiment that we're kind of coming to this sort of nexus where there's a good that will come from his death right now.
Is there a nexus point? Yes, but this is a catalyst to start many investigations into a lot of politically corrupt people.
All right. Well, I'm sure there'll be more to take care of in the next probe that we get to do. But thank you, Liz, for making time with me this morning so we could attack this and get the answers out to the people that are looking for them.
Yeah, I mean, more is going to come out, and as more comes out, obviously we can always revisit this. I know there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions. It's all still very raw for a lot of people. So if you do have questions, I would invite you, and I'm sure Mr. Reality will take note of them, to drop them in the comments. That way, we can revisit this again. And so, of course, let's do that. Let's make this a group effort. So if people do have questions, by all means, drop it in the comments and we'll pick them up. So thank you all for listening. I mean,